we don't have any apologies that have been given, so okay. So it's apologies from Alex Smith. We don't have Councillor Smith or Councillor Hislop at the moment, so we just presume that they are just running a bit late and they're on their way. So at the moment we have 12 members present.
Thank you. Any declarations of interest? Yes, you should. You're the vice chairman of that organisation, so you should actually declare interest and leave the room. That's in order. Okay, moving on. We have the minutes of the Dumfries Common Good Subcommittee, 11th November 2013, for approval. Members happy with that? Okay, thank you. Item 4, Fishing's report by Head of Improvement, Engagement and Community Services.
The only thing I'd like to add, I'd just like to make it clear that the fishing tickets won't be on sale at your library until Queensberry Square is closed. Then all transferring of any sales and business will transfer to the Ewart Library.
Thank you. Any questions on this report? One or two decisions to make vis-a-vis the options on pages 8 and 9. So any questions on these particular options before we get into them?
Actually, just in terms of the actual, what the actual implications of some of the options actually are. Point 3, in terms of the options, increase and review the cost of a concession to harmonise with the Council's easy access scheme in Appendix 4. What's the difference between what's outlined in Appendix 4 and what we currently offer in terms of concessions?
Sorry, if you go to Appendix 3 on page 15, you can see the cost, the sale ticket price. The current cost of the concession is less than half the price of a season ticket. Currently, in line with all other concessions that the Council offers, it's usually 50%, so that would bring that price up a little. And it's the only ticket that's actually grown in sales that we have. The ticket sales are declining, and they're increased by 1, if you like, or 2 in terms of young people, and that's one of the options. And we felt that this may help to actually focus in on encouraging our younger people to get involved in fishing, to actually be our anglers of the future.
See the difference in the younger people, and it's just the one about like Appendix 4, it gives you a list of people who would qualify for easy access. I'm just wondering what the difference between that is. So you're saying that basically the cost of a concession for an old age pension and disabled people would increase from £45 until something else. What would actually the difference be?
It would increase to whatever we make the price of the season ticket, so it would be 50% of that price. But a greater number of people would actually benefit from that in terms of, because at the moment it's OAPs or disabled people. We'd actually widen that out to unemployed and anyone on all these different benefits, to students, to carers. So more people would benefit, so it would actually be quite good in terms of welfare reform as well.
Just on 4, that's discontinue the provision to the unemployed to fish in the water for 1 day on a weekly basis free of charge. So they get 1 day's fishing per week. Is that what you're saying? And
if you're unemployed and live in the borough,
and the reasoning for discontinuing it
would be because we would offer this wider offer to, yeah.
wondering just any feedback from either those involved in fishing or anyone else as to what their take on the reasons for the decline again this year. We talk about the economic situation, but the economic situation is bad, but it was pretty bad in 2012 as well, in 2011. I just wonder what the sort of general take as to why it's continued to decline, basically.
I don't, apart from what I've stated in the report, there's no other reasons, because even the catch returns this year have improved a little, but it could be in terms of the catch return in the previous year, because it was really, really poor. And so were the number of actual catch return that we received. So we've really increased in that as well. October this year was a really good year for catch. So perhaps that might reflect in the ticket sales for this year.
Mr. Chairman, I'm a little anxious because I do speak to the lads who fish on the Nith. And in fact, some of my youngsters have learnt a great deal from the boys who fish on the Nith weekly, regularly, the unemployed, because there is quite a little group. And that little group has an organic identity, and it has a certain sense of, for want of a better word, fellowship and fun. And for people whose lives on the whole are pretty awful, and I just have being unemployed just now is not easy. And I think we should be very wary of taking away that little bit of something that we can give. It's not costing us anything to allow the unemployed. I know in terms of accountancy statistics, it's going to alter a bit of paper, but actually it doesn't cost us anything to have 1 free day's fishing for the unemployed within the Royal Borough. And I really don't think that it would look good in this particular climate if the Common Good Subcommittee would seem to be taking away from the poor.
Well, I think Appendix 4 is demonstrating that we're not taking away. However, that is simply an option for members to consider.
I think, actually I agree with Father Crosby because it is actually taken away from what I understand, because the people that couldn't afford even the 50%, they still get the opportunity to go 1 day a week.
Well, yeah, they wouldn't get that opportunity to have 1 day a week for free in this scheme.
Councillor Weaver?
Another option, of course, is to widen the concessionary scheme along the lines given in Appendix 4, but keep the price as it is at the moment. I mean, and obviously, the numbers of OAP disabled who are taking up the offer is increasing quite significantly over recent years. And I think what we don't want to do is to increase the price and have that the bottom fall out of that market as well.
What about option 2, and that is a low-cost ticket of £5? How does that impact on the existing season ticket, which is £32 or £27, and the weekly ticket of £21.50? How does that impact on them?
Option 2 is to provide the young people with a ticket for £5. Is that the option you're referring to?
So, sorry, we already have a junior ticket, so you'd be saying get rid of the current junior ticket, for which we charge £21.50 for a weekly ticket, and it's £32 for a season ticket.
The option would be to charge £5 for all the options, so whether it was weekly or season. It's to try and encourage young people to get involved, because not only for our own borough anglers, but other angling associations have been informed that this is declining. So it's to try and find a way to encourage them. Another plan is to get the CLD worker to work with them and try and develop that further. Perhaps have an event to encourage young people to get involved in angling, because they are anglers for the future, as I've mentioned.
Okay, any other questions?
I'd just like to come in regarding carers. Disabled. Has the carers to pay?
Sorry, Hugh, I never
Has
caught...
the carers to pay, which along with disabled? No. Or yes?
Currently, they would pay, but now they would be on a concessionary rate if we followed this scheme. And it's the same as any other ticket or sale price that the council offers.
Right, thank you.
Under this easy access scheme. They have to join the easy access scheme, which is free, and then they can get the price.
Understand.
Councillor Thompson?
Just on, you know, the point 2 of that, where we're encouraging young people to fish in the borough water, will the borough anglers be involved in that scheme?
I know that the borough anglers, we've just got one coming in and sitting down, wish to get involved in that scheme. They've even got ideas to provide lessons and kit to them as well, and it will be a future application to another source of funding.
Thank you very much. Any further? Can we go to the options then? And the first option is talking about the ticket prices for next year. What do members feel about that? 2% increase or leave as is?
I recommend that we leave as is.
Okay, we agree that no increase for next year. Option 2, encourage young people up to age 18 to fish in the borough water by offering a low-cost ticket of £5. What's members' view on that one? Members agree that one? Okay, okay.
We do it as a test over the course of the year, because it will obviously reduce the income. A 1-year pilot scheme.
That's for this year. And item 3 again, increase and review the cost of concession ticket to harmonise with the council's leisure and sport, etc. Again, that would be for this year. Be evaluated at the end of the year to see if it's been effective. Members happy with that?
Is it? People need to appreciate that that will increase the cost of a ticket. I mean, it'll widen the number of people that are entitled to a concession, but it'll also increase the cost of the ticket for the concession. I just have to be absolutely clear that that's what that means. Presumably, it comes to about 50% of the full cost, as opposed to, at the moment, it's less than 50% of the full cost. It is obviously an increase, but as long as we're aware of that when we're agreeing it.
So what is the increase?
Sorry?
What is the increase in price?
It would be exactly half the price of the season ticket, so it would be 50%.
What is it just now?
The current price for a concession is £45, and it would go up to £59.50. But it would widen out the opportunity for more people to get that rate.
Perhaps it might be useful to have the views of the people who actually use the river. Alex, for example.
Alec?
I think it's important that we do keep the prices to a very low, considering the time that we're living in now. And I think it's important that we keep the concessionary tickets to as low as possible to keep the river going.
Ronnie?
So what would be the impact if we widen the scope of people that got the concession but keep it at the same concession rate as what it is just now?
I think if that's what members would like, we would just make that the percentage that works out currently. As long as they join the easy access scheme, it wouldn't be in line with the leisure and sport, but it would be in line with what we would recommend. I'd work out the percentage rate that's currently in place.
Okay, are members happy to accept what we agreed in 1, that prices remain the same for this year, and that would apply to the concession as well? But we still expand the scheme but we pegged the price at the same level as this year. Members happy with that? And the final one is recommendation to discontinue the provision, but I don't think members are in favour of that, so we continue the provision of 1 day a week for the unemployed. Members happy with that? If we return to the other recommendations, 2.1, note the level fishing ticket sales 2013. Any questions in that? Members happy? 2.2, note the catch returns for 2013, detailed in section 3.2. 2.3, note the ticket sales income for the 2013 season is detailed in 3.3. And 2.4, note the progress and arrangements made to working with the Borough Anglers in section 3.4. And 2.5, consider and agree what we've just considered and agreed. Are members happy with that? Okay. Move on to item 5. Increased Common Good Grant Report. We'll just take these one by one. First one is the Lower Burn Community Council. Do members have any questions on the Lower Burn Community Council application? Councillor McKee.
It's just that there's nothing here about total project costs, and I could do with information in regards have they consulted with any people in the council as to what usage this Lower Burn Hall could be put to. There's one individual at least over in DG1 who has indicated that he worked there for quite a long time and has got a fair knowledge of what sort of facilities could be provided in there. And I wonder if they've made an effort to find out these things or consulted anywhere within the council on that line.
Councillors may be aware that I'm the link officer to the council, but as far as I'm concerned, it's just myself that they've been liaising with, and these costs, the applications for what we have and the information of the grant.
Anybody else get any further questions on this application? Councillor.
Do we know what the total cost of the project actually is? Just curious, it's obviously to be confirmed.
The total cost for the project is not identified yet, and this will help to identify all of this, to get them to sort all of that.
Councillor Thompson.
When you say the total project costs haven't been identified, are you talking about the reopening of the Lower Burn Hall? Are you talking about the business plan?
It's both, really. They don't have a total cost for the reopening and refurbishment, and they don't know how much it's going to cost them to develop a business plan. This is for sort of stage 1 of developing this and taking it forward.
The funding request is £5,000, yet the recommended award's £3,500. Will this still go ahead if they don't get the full 5,000?
I think it would still go ahead to a certain extent. They perhaps couldn't do as much as they would originally have intended to do. The £5,000 was to get further help.
I mean, that £5,000 must have came from somewhere. It's the cost of a business plan. If it's not the cost of a business plan, and you can't have half a business plan or 3/4 of a business plan, it's got to be a whole business plan. Now, if the business plan is costing £5,000, if it's costing £10,000, which whatever it is, that £5,000 requested, it might be up to that £5,000 cost or whatever.
Our recommendation was based on the fact that the group didn't have any match funding. The group themselves felt that they could spend at least £5,000 on developing a business plan.
Councillor Thompson.
Given that we're fairly committed to actually establishing a trust for this hall and the use of it thereafter, I think we should just approve this.
Well, I think, obviously members have raised concerns. I think maybe we need to qualify it. If we're agreed, if it is the feeling that we want to get this underway, and we want to help it. Now, the recommended award is £3,500. If we make it clear that money is only for the development of the business plan, because that's what they've asked for. You know, if they don't spend that money, then we expect it to be returned. It's not a case of granting £3,500 and they then decide they're going to spend it in something else. If we put that qualification in, would that assuage some of the concerns that members have?
Chair, I think that qualification you've just said, that's the same for everything. That's just standard. It's not something that we need to put on it. It's something that is standard there. But I'm still worried about the £5,000. If they don't get the £5,000, for example, can they carry out the business plan?
There isn't anyone here to represent the group, but I would suggest they'd be able to do part of the work, and they would just have to work within the constraints of the funding that they have. Or find match funding.
Councillor Nicholson?
Are there any other organisations helping them with the business plan or not?
They're getting support through myself, but they're also getting support from third sector interface.
Councillor McKee?
Yeah, I think I'd agree maybe award the £3,500. I think they need to be encouraged, as we do with a lot of applicants for funding, encouraged to seek match funding.
If we did approve £5,000 that they've requested, how would that impact in all the other applications?
It would impact the same as all the other recommendations. I mean, we have tried to balance the amount of funding that you have available.
I think we had a motion here from Councillor Thompson that we accept the recommendation at the moment for £3,500. Are members happy to accept that? Yeah. Thank you. Move on to the second one, which is the Nith Catchment Fishery Trust, and recommendation there is for £3,545. Anybody, any questions for Crosby?
Should those involved in fishing still be in the room is one of the questions I have to begin with, because there's conflict of interest there. But that's not my question, that's just an observation.
No, to be fair, there's nobody sitting on the table here that is a member of the trust I'm aware of. I think there may be members in the room, but they're not on the committee.
Okay, just wondered. It strikes me that as the common good of Dumfries moves towards a much more sound footing, and I don't think there's any doubt that everyone around this table is engaged in that process, that we need to start to move towards distinctions. And I don't think there's any easy way of doing this, but perhaps it would be possible for a report to come forward, because it strikes me that, one, thanks to the purchases that were made by the Old Borough Council subsequent to the Housing Acts in the 1930s, we have lots of fishings that are not within the Royal Borough. That does produce some question marks over common good law as it's interpreted in relation to various judgments as to how expenditure should be made. But I think a good way forward in relation to this would be, in fact, for the maintenance of the fishings, which are assets of the common good, to be a planned activity and not something which is subject to a grant. I think the keeping of the banks and the whole keeping of what is effectively an asset belonging to the common good should be a planned activity for the future. I accept that this is how we're presented with this document tonight, but I really think that, you know, the applications for grants should come from, for example, the voluntary sector and from voluntary organisations, and that the maintenance of the fishings should be something that we plan for, because the fishings are an asset that belong to the common good. And I think it would be very good if my opinion is that it would be very good if the officers could bring forward a report so that we manage that better in the future.
Yeah. I take on board what you're saying, but I would point out two things. A, that the borough anglers do a lot of maintenance on the banks and within the river itself at no cost to this common good committee. So I think that should be noted first of all. In terms of the common good, yes, there is part of the common good fishing's out with the borough, but if we don't maintain them, then giant knotweed, giant hogweed and Japanese knotweed will spread into other riparian owners, including ourselves. And one of the main issues in here is actually to train members of the borough anglers to carry out the work. So I wouldn't anticipate next year anything like this coming forward. You're quite correct, we probably need a planned maintenance, and it may well be for future years we'll get an input from the borough anglers asking to us to make a small payment towards the maintenance costs, which I don't have a problem with. But for this year, a lot of this money has been spent on actually training up the borough anglers. So we're getting a benefit for free, if you like, and have done for a number of years. I'll bring Alec in, allow Alec to make some points.
On the maintenance side, through the last 4 or 5 years, the North Fishery Board have controlled the control of all the plants on the river. So we would only get involved if we had the proper qualifications and trained to work with the plants and that. But the North Fishery Board has been doing that for the last 5 years on the borough. They've been actually implementing that on the river. So big thank you to the North Fishery Board for doing that. But we've been doing the maintenance on the river since 2006. Nothing that would be a health and safety risk, but just general maintenance on the river.
Thanks, Alan. Councillor Green.
Well, I say it's only just over a third of the projected cost, and I'm sure we could put that forward.
Can you just clarify that will the borough anglers actually take part in, treating these invasive plants?
My understanding is, having looked at the application, that was part of the application, that members of the borough anglers would be trained by the North Fisheries Improvement.
That hasn't happened up to now, and I think for safety reasons we wouldn't. We have nobody trained to work with these plants, and I don't think we would allow personnel to do controlled killing of the plants. The Fishery Board are the statutory body, and they have all control measures, and we wouldn't allow our guys to do control of the plants.
Can you bring Rona in on this one? Because that was in the application.
The application says we train volunteers. It's wider, perhaps, than the borough anglers.
It could be a possibility, and that would pick, if we had to pick personnel from the borough anglers, the proper people to implement that would be,
So they've yet to approach the borough anglers, but if they approached, may well be members of the borough anglers who'd be willing to be trained up, because that is another why they're wanting the money. In order to train up volunteers.
We don't mind doing that if we had the people there in place to do that. We would, and we don't mind if we had to.
Thanks, Chair. Do we know the split between the treatment and the training?
It's not clear in the application.
Right. So if it's not clear, how are we supposed to make a judgment on it? I would suggest
I think the staff time comes to just under a third of the application, so I'd expect, and that's the total cost, so that's a third of the total cost would be spent on training.
Yeah, this controlling Japanese knotweed and giant hogweed, is this an ongoing treatment? You've got to treat for more than one season, 1 year.
happy to agree this, and we'll come back next year and take a look at the maintenance side rather than just coming off grant with it.
Can I just ask what the borough anglers are doing voluntary work just now, but they're not clearing weed. And this project is going to, I just want to be clear in my mind, this project is going to train members of the borough anglers so that they're qualified in relation to this poisonous weed in order to clear it. Is that what we're doing here with this money?
Well, it may well be people who are not members of the borough anglers, but people will be trained, volunteers will be trained.
No, Alex saying no.
Well, I mean, it doesn't matter if it's borough anglers or not. People will be trained, volunteers will be trained in the use of these things. I think contained in there is protective equipment.
But Mr. Chairman, if we don't actually know if there are any volunteers, why are we allocating funding to a project that hasn't got volunteers?
The application's from the Nith Catchment Fishery Trust, not the borough anglers, and it would be them who are developing the volunteers, not the borough anglers. It may be that borough anglers could, but it's not them.
Just for a bit of clarity, I will ask, have we got any volunteers? I'll ask Mr. Henderson from the fishing.
Yeah, fine. The idea of this project, the council funded the initial treatment of these weeds 2 years ago at a cost of £10,000. We are very well aware that the council is not flush with cash at this moment in time, and the whole treatment of invasives is really one of long-term investment. And in trying to continue that treatment, for example, the seeds for giant hogweed can stay viable for up to 18 years in the sediment on the river bank. We have in-house the equipment and facilities to be able to, treat these plants. We don't need to purchase that. We have the storage facilities for the chemicals to be able to store these things safely and under license. We have the license to be able to deal with it. So those costs are now stripped out of anything that you would have. You're actually getting that under our umbrella. We also recognise the sheer amount of time that we spend in your part of the fishings, and for us to have our trained staff be able to go along once, for example, the borough anglers report to us a new clump of knotweed that hasn't been identified previously, and we can go there and deal with that when we're in and around about Dumfries dealing with other things. The idea was to spend a part of the money on training, to train somebody to the level of P6AW at one of the local places such as the Barony College. It's £600 to train a person to be able to use this equipment safely and to be able to use the chemicals near to a water course. The idea was to build sustainability into this project in the future. You're quite right, Chairman. We probably will come back to you for some funding in the future, but it wouldn't be at this level once the training's been done. It would be for purchase of the glyphosate, for example, that's appropriate probioactive glyphosate to be able to use on the stuff, and for perishable bits of equipment such as paper suits, etc., that you would see us in round about the riverbank when we're dealing with this type of problem. So we've really cut this to the bone. We would desperately like that you join in with the rest of the river and we kill these weeds, because the weak link is if one place doesn't kill their weeds. Fortunately, you're at the bottom of the river, and any dispersal of any seeds would probably go downstream in all fairness. But really, in an ideal world, when you're treating invasive weeds, you have to look at the whole river system. And this is a weak link, and we'd certainly like you to participate. This has been cut to an absolute bone, the level of funding that we've requested.
Okay, thanks very much, Mr. Henderson. Members got any questions? Okay.
Just to say, during the summer there, up from the Caribou Bridge, across from the cakewalk, a lot of giant hogweed growing there. So I believe, we were talking about planning, and I believe it should be planned to actually eradicate this. I believe there should be a timetable put in place rather than a bit here, a bit there. I think it should be far more planned. Okay.
Well, I think that's the intention. We can get this underway, then the big cost this year is training any volunteers they get, and in future, it's a maintenance cost which should be minimal, hopefully. So are members happy to go ahead with this at this stage? Okay, thank you. Move on to the next one, which is sowing sows. Request, the recommendation is 644. Members got any questions on that one? Members happy to approve? Okay, thank you. Next one, Youth Alive, Growing Together Polytunnel Project. Recommended award is 1,281. Members got any questions on that one? Happy to approve. Next one, Royal Borough of Dumfries Tattoo funding. Fund requested 2,000. Recommended award 2,000. Any questions on the tattoo? No, members happy to approve. And next one's the Alive Christian Media. This did not fit the criteria, so the recommendation's nil award. Members happy with that? And the final one is the Dumfries Musical Theatre Company, reslating of the roof for new guttering at Brig End Theatre. Fund request 11,920. Rona, do you want to make any comment on that particular one?
Clearly, we don't have enough funding to fund all the applications in front of us. So if this was approved at this stage, we could perhaps support this group for other funding locally.
Any questions on this particular item? Members happy to approve? Thank you very much. Move on to item 6, the consultation report on the draft Community Empowerment Scotland Bill, increasing transparency about common good. And really, key points in the draft bill for this particular item are 3.5 there. I don't know if members want to make any comment in that particular section. Mr. Smith?
I mean, I agree with what the bill says in terms of 45 and 46 in relation to establishing a register. I think that's a no-brainer. However, the bill then goes on to say that they won't define what common good actually is. So it's actually quite difficult to do a register if you don't actually know what the definition is. Now, their argument seems to be that if you define it, then things that are on the common good list at the moment in some local authorities will fall off. Well, why are they on the list in the first place if they don't meet the criteria for common good? I don't understand that at all. I think it would actually help everybody if the Scottish Government actually defined what common good was. They could produce a definition and then put it out to consultation, but I think that it would actually be very helpful if they actually defined what common good was, and I think it would make our lives an awful lot easier. I think that's what the biggest difficulty at the moment actually sometimes is. So I agree with the fact that it's requirement that we should have a register, but it's quite difficult to make a register if you don't actually know what the definition of common good actually is. You know, so that's the only criticism I would have of the bill. I mean, the general bill itself doesn't say as much about common good as I think we'd all liked it to have said. I think they've probably maybe been to the same seminar as us and decided you get a sore head if you actually try to do anything more than they're proposing here, and they've kind of ducked it a wee bit, to be perfectly honest. But I would like to see a definition. I think it would be helpful. So our feedback would be we would actually support a definition if they were. But it looks as if they've ducked the question here.
Thank you. I think the problem was that some of us attended a seminar on this bill, and that was one of the things we were expecting to get, was that the bill would contain a definition of common good. The one thing that's been made quite clear, the bill will not contain a definition of common good, because the lawyers have had a good look at it and decided that they might include things that some folk might disagree with, and then they might not include things that other folk might disagree with. So you're now going to have a bill coming through that deals with the common good that is not going to define what the common good is. So it's a bit of a waste of time as a bill, probably. There are some points contained within it that may well help, particularly the register. But the important thing with the register is that things that are agreed by the council are not disputed by anybody else. We go in a register of common good assets. There would then be a second register of disputed assets where the council might say, this is in the common good, and other folks say no, or the council might say that's not in the common good, and other folks say aye. There'd be a disputed register. That would only be, these things would only be researched if at any time the council decided to dispose of those assets. Because the recommendation seems to be that there's no point in the local authorities wasting time and money researching titles of, it could be this building here that might stand for another 50 years. There's no point looking at the titles for this until such time as it might come to dispose of. So there will be a register of agreed assets, there will also be a register of disputed assets, but there will be no definition of the common good. So that seems to be the major points for the common good. Mr. Crosby?
I think the first thing is that there has always been, although the new act is going to, the new bill is going to produce some kind of clarification, there has always been a duty on this authority to account separately for its common good funds. That is beyond doubt. The second thing is that although it is occasionally problematic, the safest definition of that, which is the common good, is that which was vested in the Provost and Magistrates of the Royal Borough in 1975. And so, although given the lapse of time and the lack of proper record keeping, that's a difficult thing to quantify. We are in the process of doing that. There is goodwill in this council, and we are actually getting to hopefully going to get to the point within the next 18 months that we will know what the common good of Dumfries is. As for the other royal boroughs in Dumfries and Galloway Council's area, that's up to them. But yes, the bill is not as exciting in some ways as we'd have all hoped or as clear. But remember, these pieces of legislation passed by Parliament are only one part of the story, because the judgments which are produced at the highest levels of the court system, the judicial system in Scotland, are also the other part of the story. And so Parliament may well pass a bill, the courts may well amend it in reality. So we do have very sound foundations to move forward on in relation to establishing the common good register for the Royal Borough of Dumfries. It's not an issue which is confused. It's actually quite clear. We still even have in Dumfries the list of the common good assets from which rents were collected before the abolition of the borough. Or not the borough, but the abolition of the town council. So it's not as ideal as it would be, but it's by no means a desperate situation. And hopefully within the next couple of years, we might actually be in the vanguard of common good committees with everything looking super and everything looking smashing. And, well, it'll not be an easy job, but I think we'll get there.
Very much. Anybody else want to say anything? Do members want to add anything to the report, basically? This matter is going to the Policy Committee tomorrow, and there are a number of issues being raised, not so much with the common good side of things, but with other bodies, because there's things that apply to councils that don't seem to be applying to housing associations and other supposed public bodies. So, and again, that's in relation to registers of properties, etc. Members happy to note the recommendations? Okay, thank you very much. And I have no other business. Thank you all very much.